Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. I am sitting here and I was thinking about coming on live and my computer is acting crazy. So I have my phone set up just so. So hopefully this will keep working. And okay, there's the camera. So my eyes are like darting everywhere. So we're here. I wanted to talk about something that has been showing up quite often in my client sessions lately, and it's this notion of what really is self-care. And for many of us, it can feel almost elusive and like out of reach, and it's also become quite trendy. Right? There's a lot of people like talking about it and these self-care practices, and we're like hopping on the trend of do this thing and then do that thing. And it's like we're missing the point entirely. And something that I've really seen show up in my work lately with people is how much self-care is being used as almost self-punishment, as a means of feeling like we're being good and having something to cross off of our to-do list so we can feel like accomplished. Something to kind of feel like we have a sense of control over our lives or over a situation or over our surroundings. And it's become like this almost narrow, rigid thing for many people. And especially that like duality notion of being good or bad, right? So if I'm on the wagon and I'm doing all the things and I'm caring for myself and I've got my green juice and I exercise and I'm just having all these things to cross off my list and just look how good I am, that's like just missing the point entirely. So I wanted to offer my definition and give you a new way of thinking about it so that you can find deep, deep nourishment on all levels of your being and kind of shift your perspective about what self-care is. So self-care is an art. It is a fluid practice. It is in flux constantly. It is shifting and changing just as we shift and change, just as the seasons shift and change. So it's the art of deeply listening to our own needs on all levels of our being. And I speak a lot about the 4 levels of our being physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. Just kind of as a way to like break it down for people so that we can begin to see ourselves as the multifaceted beings that we are. So we're not just this body, and we're not just this spiritual or energetic component of us. We're everything in between, all the layers that come along with being in this human form on this planet. So it's the art of deeply listening to our own needs on all levels. So there's nothing in that definition about doing or being good or being bad. It's deeply listening. It is always changing. And your self-care practice is going to look differently in May than it's going to look in December. And rightfully so. Your needs are different in May than they are in December. So having that sense of duality or good or bad or morality or rigidity associated with like, this is how my practice needs to look, is not serving you. It's actually causing more harm for you, more stress for your system. So pausing to check in and not simply having something to do, that's really what it's about. So much of self-care is just being and not doing, and it's about listening. And so I invite you to do this simple practice. Ask yourself what nourishes you on all levels. And I like writing. So if you're a list maker or, I have handwritten things all over the place. So find a piece of paper that is clear if you're like me, and make 4 areas. So physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. And identify things that deeply nourish you in each one of these areas. So physically, it could be, movement of some kind is very important to me daily. Again, I'm not going to say I'm going to, have a really strong yoga practice every single day or go run 5 miles every single day, because there's a time and a space for that. So some days running is like so good. And then other days my body's just like, no, dude, I really could go for some like yin yoga today and maybe a gentle walk. So again, it's that art of deep listening, and I have the tools and know what my physical body needs every day, and then I can be fluid to meet that. So another physical need could be like whole foods, real earth-made foods. And that's going to look differently in May than it's going to look in December based on availability of what Mother Earth is growing for us, etc. So emotional body nourishment could be like really honoring your emotions and letting them flow through you, not letting them stagnate. So maybe a practice for you is creating art. Maybe it is writing poetry. Maybe it is expressive movement. So just, again, identifying the need and then having the tools in place to meet that on a fluid basis, really listening deeply and honoring what it is that you need in that moment. Mental nourishment could be like learning something. I love being mentally challenged and really learning new things and stretching my brain. That's a need that I have, and there are many ways that I can meet that on a daily basis. I try to read something every day, whether I'm in, my super nerdy science hat and I want to read a scholarly journal article for the day. That could be something that nourishes me and is my form of self-care. It could be learning a new language. It could be reading a new book for practices to put into my business. So, and then finally, spiritual body, a need that I have is to feel connected on a daily basis. And again, the tools that I have in there are meditation. They're going to be being out in nature, playing in my garden, reading spiritual texts. So see, and it might sound complicated, and it's really not. It's just getting us into that habit of deeply listening and of viewing ourselves as more than just the physical body. I think in our society, we are so fixated on the physical, on the tangible, and we kind of shy away from the subtle. And the subtle, I always say this, like, I want to put it on my tombstone. The subtle creates the gross. This is how we need to start thinking about healing, and this is how we need to start thinking about ourselves. Everything that's happening behind the scenes on our emotional, mental, energetic, spiritual levels is manifested in the physical. So whether that's your physical body or it's your physical life, it's the crappy relationship that you keep manifesting, it's a job that you don't like, that all has its roots in your subtle layers. And so until that subtle piece is shifted, i.e. like beginning to honor self-care in a very meaningful, loving, being sort of way, the physical is not going to change. Because those subtle pieces create the physical, create the gross, create the tangible. You're made of like trillions of cells that just decided to come together and vibrate like so, little subtle things to create your body. I feel like I'm just like doing puppetry this whole time. So the subtle creates the gross. And when we are malnourished in one area, it's going to impact and show up in other areas. And it can show up, like I said, in a variety of different ways. Emotional eating, poor boundaries, being closed off to intimacy, hormonal imbalances, all of it. So anything that's in your three-dimensional physical experience, whether that's your body, your health, your relationships, all has its roots in the subtle. And the best way to start to shift that is to engage in deeply meaningful self-care. So identifying your needs, do that practice I suggested, break down physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, and identify a need that you have there each day, and then tools that you have. So a couple different tools to meet each one of those needs. And that way it keeps it nice and fluid, and you're not rigid and like, I know I have a need for movement, and damn it, I'm gonna like push myself really, really hard every single day. That used to be my MO. Honestly, I've swung between both. I've gone through the periods of like total just, ignoring all of my needs, inactivity, total stagnation, to like the other extreme. So when we come to that kind of middle way of deeply listening, real magic begins to happen, and that's when shifts and healing can really occur, and everything in your life just becomes so much more easeful and beautiful. So do that practice, and if you would love to share with us, I would love to see. It's always wonderful when we can inspire each other and learn new resources, new tools, and if you have any questions or challenges, bring those up too. Challenges, wins, it's all welcome, all of you. And thank you so much. If there are any questions, put them in the thread, post in the group. I would love to have more engagement with everybody. So I'm going to be popping up live way more often so you can see my face and all of my mini hand gesticulations that I was doing. So, all right, Danya is here. Thank you, Danya, for being here. And she's asking me to make another, queet. I was going to say cool and sweet. Made up a new word, queet. Why not? So she's asking for another live topic. Cool, yeah. I will totally look into that. All right, thank you all. Have a beautiful week, beautiful Monday. So much love.